Hey, what's going on, guys? Dropship Tyler here, and sorry about that. Let me get my mic situated. So I already went live once today, but I got a message while I was at the gym, and it was a viewer who wanted me to review her store. I'm not going to give away her store name. I'm not going to share my screen and show you her items, but this video is for people who need some advice, who are just getting started with eBay dropshipping, and they're making some pretty big mistakes that are going to discourage them in the long run. So again, this is somebody who sent me a message on Instagram, and they sent me their store name. I told her to do that on the last live I did. She originally commented on one of my videos, I think it was 2 days ago, saying she didn't get drop shipping. It's not working for her. And so I was really curious to see, when somebody says something like this, I'm curious what kind of store they actually have and what kind of strategy they are doing. So here are my 5 tips for this person. And I'm not sure if I'm going to answer any questions live, just so you guys know that are watching. I appreciate all of you guys here. We do have the person in the chat that store I am reviewing. So I'm not going to say any names unless they want to be identified. But that person is here, and here we go. Let's just start at number 1. The first thing I noticed when I pulled up this person's store was the price of the items that they had listed. From what I could see, so total they had 30 products. It was 14 listings, and on those 14 listings, there were some variations. So it ended up being 30 total. And I just want to say that the price of the products was very high. So she had 4 products that were under $20. That includes the variations and all of that. So 4 out of the 30 that were under $20. And she had 12 products that were over $50. So so that's half the products right there. So the rest of them were in between $20 and $50, which is perfectly fine. The problem is that there were I want to say 6 listings, variations plus the other listings, that were like close to $200 or more. And in my experience and what I tell people when they're first starting, you got to have low priced items in your store. To be honest, I wouldn't list anything over $50 when you're first starting. And most of the products I want to see are in between the $15 and $30 range. That's just going to be the ones that have the best chance of selling, and especially when you have a low feedback store. Those are usually the type of items where somebody sees it and they want to buy it right away, rather than, search the internet and try to find the best price. So that's my first tip there, is have lower priced items in your store. If you're sourcing from Amazon, I did see that you were using I saw that you were using a repricer and software for your store. And I want to say that if you're using software, it's fine to start off sourcing from Amazon. If you're not using software, if you saw my live earlier, I recommended that you don't start off sourcing from Amazon unless the item is sold by Amazon. But if you're using a repricer, it's fine. The reason I said that is because the items change price so much because of just, the sellers that are on there are usually small sellers, and they like to play with their prices a lot and test different prices if you have a lot of listings. And usually the listings that are more established and have lots of reviews and things like that on Amazon, the prices aren't going to fluctuate as much. But some of the items that you may list that you find are like low competition items on eBay, they might be newer items on Amazon in terms of the person just started selling that product and they're trying to find a good price point for them to be able to sell it. So if you're sourcing for Amazon, there's a lot of products that are like $10 to $15 that I would highly recommend that you put in your store. You used to be able to sell add-on items. I was a big fan of that. You can't sell add-on items anymore unless you you go out of your way to make it work, which I don't recommend doing that. So yeah, so low priced items, focus on $15 to $30 items. If you're sourcing from Amazon, there's a lot of $10 items you can list. All right. So another thing that I saw, the second tip was you were selling high priced electronics. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe one of your items was a TV from Walmart. First of all, that's a very high risk item to sell in terms of Walmart cancellations. If they ever feel like you're a drop shipper, it might have been from Amazon, but I'm just going to assume it was from Walmart for the purpose of this. So yeah, again, don't sell electronics, first of all, if you're just starting off. Second off, it's just, again, it comes back to price. You can't sell high priced electronics when you're first starting. So that's the recommendation there. Stick to like home goods, decorations, picture frames. What other kind of things? I usually have a ton of products in my head that I'm thinking of here. I'll just go to my store real quick and give you some examples of the kinds of things that I want to see. Having a little bit of brain farts, I'm just going to use my store to give you a good example of what kind of items I would like to see in a newer store that are really easy and great categories that I find to sell in instead of selling electronics. I mean, well, you're not even selling them. You just have them listed because they're high dollar and you only have one feedback. So it's not really going to work. Let me go to my orders here and see what kind of things I've sold in the last or just today. So I can give you some good examples. All right, so sold a sewer cap, a drainage plug, replacement trimmer head, tape, jelly beans. I don't recommend selling food. I guess if you're from Amazon, it's fine. But wall art, here you go, wall art, garage door magnets, tripod quick release. Honestly, there's a lot of stuff that you could sell that is just not electronics, but that's all like lower dollar stuff too. Chairs, desk chairs, cheap desk chairs, or the foldable ones, a sun hat. I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm just spitballing here. So these are all things that I would recommend, instead of high-end electronics, sell that kind of stuff. But anyway, the next thing I saw, number 3, is about your titles. So when you're first starting off, I highly recommend that you go for a more optimized approach rather than, the kind of approach that I take currently, because, or on my 2 big stores that I take currently, because those stores are established. I have a lot of good selling items. I'm just throwing a bunch up and seeing what sticks right now, and also trying to list on a daily basis, lots of items. So I don't, and I also am like one of the lowest priced on eBay for everything. So I don't need to optimize my titles as much as somebody just starting off. They really need to focus on, creating a good title and all of that. Also I recommend, if you have time, go in and optimize your description, like get rid of all the junk out of there. There are some things that eBay will pick up on, obviously, like phone numbers or website links or whatever that are in the description that the software copies over. So if you have any of those issues, but just for sure, optimize your titles at least. And when I say optimize your titles, look at the other selling items on eBay and see what kind of keywords you can throw in there. Yes, a lot of items get thrown into a catalog, and someone's just going to click lowest price in that catalog and find that. So then the title won't matter as much. But you do still have some organic search results that your item could come up in, and you can sell it that way if you have the a good title that people are searching, and it's going to rank well. So that was the next thing. Just optimize your titles because you had a lot that were just from the store. One website you can use to find keywords to build your title is a site called Title Builder, and I believe it's title-builder.com. And you can just put like the basic keyword for the product in, and then you can see what people are actually, selling that, what other keywords people are using to sell that product. And I would recommend that. So the fourth thing that I recommend is your pricing. So if you're one of the most expensive on eBay and you're a new seller and you're not doing a lot of product research, you're going to have issues trying to sell items at decent margins. And one of the first product that I actually looked at and I picked to be able to search and just kind of analyze what the listing was like, because I have a feeling this is how it is for like all of your listings. You can look at someone's store, and you can pretty much determine, what their pricing strategy might be if they're not doing pure sniping and like manually managing their margins and stuff. Then you're going to be able to pretty much tell what their pricing strategy is just by looking at one listing. So the item that I looked at was one of your cheaper items, and it was selling for $22.95 on Amazon, the exact product. You had it listed for $33.27 on eBay. And I went back and I searched that product on eBay, and I went to completed listings. And how many did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So the last 8 products that sold on eBay for that particular listing, the last one sold was, again, you're priced at $33.27 with the exact title that's on Amazon. Keep in mind. So there's no optimization or anything like that with this listing. And in that case, you're going to have to be more competing on price than anything else. So the last one that sold was 2 days ago, I believe, at $25.27. The one before that, $25.58, $29.85, $25.38, $27.69, $25.49, $25.90, and $28.74. So the most expensive one that was sold was $29.85. Again, you're priced at $33.27. I believe that's the $22.95 to $33.27. That's like a 1.4 something markup, which is too high in today's eBay dropshipping environment. So that's the fourth tip right there, is you need to price your items lower. I don't know how you're doing your product research, but whatever tool you're using, I don't know. I recommend getting Chili Hunter, to be honest. And if you get Chili Hunter, it's chili-hunter.com, and use the code DropshipTyler and you'll get 25% off. I'm not trying to like pitch that software in this video, but I'm saying, like, if you're going to use it, A, get the discount, and B, you need something better for product research, because that right there that's not going to work. And that was my fifth tip. So my fifth tip was better product research. So actually my fourth led into my fifth. Do some better product research when you're listing your items. Because, if you want to do the 50 free listings, like I'm saying to do, and I'm telling a lot of people to do, and not really spend any money. And if you don't want to spend money, you don't have to get the Chili Hunter software. Go through and look and, really get a feel for what these items are actually selling for. And, logically ask yourself, all right, do I stand a chance? Because right now it doesn't look like it, to be honest. And I'm not trying to bash you at all right? Because you commented on one of my videos and said that, you don't understand it. I'm trying to help you understand how dropshipping works. And that's, those mistakes are all pretty critical, that are probably, probably killing your store right now and causing you not to generate any sales. So I recommend, just, again, I'll go over it 1 through 5 just so you can kind of have it and, write these things down and search for videos on how these things are done, or, the opinion of other YouTubers as well. The first one was you need to have lower priced items when you're first starting. Again, I recommended, well, if you're sourcing from Amazon, anything that's, not an add-on item is okay to list as long as it's Prime. So there's some non-add-on items that might be a little bit under $10, but $10 is fine, $10 to $30. So stop selling electronics, especially the higher end ones. You need to optimize your titles. You need to work on your pricing strategy because, like I said, 1.4 something X isn't going to do it nowadays if you're not doing a lot of research and things like that. And then the fifth tip was the product research. So I just want to look at the chat real quick. I don't want to make this a long live. I just wanted to go ahead and get this video out there for this person because I felt like I could do it better in a video and really help them understand these things rather than just sending a message through Instagram and them having a bunch of questions. But yeah, let me go through real quick, and because I know she was in here, so let me just look and see if anyone had any questions or anybody said anything that is worth me talking about here. And again, this video was kind of spontaneous, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. So I want to say hey to everybody, but I'm just going to get through and I'm going to answer the questions that are directly related to this. So would you suggest upgrading to a store right away? Have 2 sales so far since started Monday. No. Use your 50 free listings. If you want to go beyond 50 free listings and you have, you have the opportunity with your limits, then sure, start with a starter store and go from there. So Oscar was asking, what about for somebody who already has 700 feedback? So Oscar, you can list honestly products up to $100. Even now I cap mine at $250. I don't list anything over $250. And I know people though that do very well with those higher dollar items, but they actually do have a lot of chargebacks and cases and things like that. And it is higher risk for someone starting off. So I may consider next year raising my price point a little bit because there is less competition at those higher priced items. Once you have big limits and everything like that, then it's fine. But, there's a lot of variance with selling high-end, higher dollar items. And to get consistent sales in the beginning, like I'm telling this person, they need lower priced items. You're going to have a better chance selling lower priced items. You're not going to make as much, obviously. But you're going to have a better chance selling those items, which is the most important thing in the beginning, is reducing your sales variance. Because, if you sell something that's $200 one day, and then you don't sell for another 3 weeks, and because I've seen stores before where people just want to sell things that are like $150 or more and they don't make it because they're not getting consistent sales, they're not getting the experience they need and all of that. Have really your best sellers be reasonably priced or lower priced items, right? And then you can move on from there. All right. So what would you say is a good profit margin on eBay, break even and make money on Cashback? Eric, that's not a bad strategy if you're doing a bulk method or a bulk optimized method where you're getting good selling items, but you're not changing titles or anything like that. It's fine to compete on price. I still recommend having a little bit of margin on the front end and then working your way backwards for things that don't sell after like 15, 20 days. And then and it really just depends on your strategy when you want to actually lower that margin, how much you want to lower it to. But I do recommend if an item doesn't sell at all, delete it after 30 days. If you have like 5,000 items and you've got room in an anchor store to be able to delete and replace items mid-month, and you're not going to be charged the insertion fees. So like, for example, with a 5,000 item store, you could delete all your items on the 15th and have new items come in for 15 days, and you still only use 10,000 insertions, and you get 10,000 insertions for free. So for those people that have like a weird amount of listings, which if you have between 3,750 and 7,000, for example, and for those of you guys that don't know, 3,750 is the point where it's more cost efficient to have an anchor store than a premium store. And so you're basically just throwing away 6,250 listings every month if you're not adding more or you're not deleting those items and replacing them mid-month. So if you've got a weird amount of listings like that for the anchor store example, then you can delete those items after 15 to 20 days based on views and, start replacing them. If you want to have that higher, or not higher margin, but you don't want to lower your margin on those. Like, you don't want to settle for less than like 4 or 5%. That's when you can do that. So delete mid-month if you have that weird number of listings, and you're not going to get charged anymore for insertion fees. Now, if you have 10,000 items and you're worried about insertion fee cost, I would only delete right before the insertion fee is about to be renewed. And then, replace that item the next billing cycle so that you're not getting charged that additional 5 cents per listing, because those insertion fees will add up. All right, so let me see here. How do you feel about Zeke, Tyler? I've already expressed I don't use Zeke. I like Nahar a lot. He's a great guy. He messages me and talks to me a decent amount. So I don't use Zeke. I use Chili Hunter, but I know the company Zeke is a great company. So if you guys want to use Zeke, go ahead. Tony Richards said snipe all day, no optimism. Sniping is a good strategy for sure. If you want to have, but again, when you're sniping, I would look at all the listings too in that particular item, and look at the sales. So this is one mistake that a lot of people make, and I think the reason that her pricing may have been this high is because the person that sold the item last for $25.27 had now raised their price to like $34. But if you go into the actual listing and look at the listing and you click sold, you can see what the actual price of the item is. So just because an item says $50, for sale, and it says one sold next to it, that doesn't mean the item sold for $50. The person could have sold that item at like a loss at first and then raised the price, realizing that item was a loss when they first initially sold it. So definitely do your due diligence and go in and look at the listings and stuff if you're going to snipe. All right, sorry. So Jenny Spontan says, great tips for her. Those should help a ton if used. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's like the basics of starting a new store right there, and basics of drop shipping. So I'm hoping you guys can, figure out from there, especially the new people here. Jolene asked, where should I put my percentage? Again, you should look at competition, but also if you're doing like more, because I mean, a store like this is small enough to where you can really dig in and look at your competition and see what the items are. The stores and like that I run, and the ones, the method I'm teaching, it relies on software doing the research and listing for me, which is why, we like using Chili Hunter, or we like using the locator. It gives you a better feel for all of, the pricing across the whole market, especially the locator on Sale Freaks. It's going to only find the products that you're going to be able to be the lowest priced at with that minimum profit margin that you put in. So for a bulk optimized method, that's the way to go. All right. So are sponsored listings working? So sponsored listings are working for accounts that aren't flagged as dropshippers. Outside of that, sponsored listings are not working. So on my new manual store, sponsored listings are working. On my 2 stores that, well, actually I haven't tried, but I'm just assuming they don't work because everyone I talk to says they don't work. I stopped doing promoted listings about 2 to 3 weeks before the promoted listings actually stopped working, because I wanted to go for a lower price strategy and try to get a ton of volume and make more money on the back end with, Mr. Rebates cashback and my credit card cashback. So I didn't want to pay for that promoted listing anymore. So I got rid of that. I was lucky. I didn't feel a drop in sales at all in November like other people did, because they relied on promoted listings so much. Eric, I appreciate your $5 super chat, man. Really do. Thank you. That was worth my time answering your question now. No, I'm just kidding. It's always worth my time. So Success with Sully says, if you don't want to get flagged, do manual drop shipping. And again, it's all speculative at this point. So I actually am running the manual store, and we will see what happens with that manual store if I feel a drop in sales or not. It is, you still can run profitable eBay stores if your account's flagged. It's not the end of the world. It's just not going to be like as easy as it was in the beginning of 2018, 2017, etc. Everything gets a little bit harder each year, and I feel like the flagged accounts was the thing that made drop shipping hard for me this year. But I have overcome it, and I am seeing month-over-month growth at this point, which is definitely, except for the last like 3 days, have been really disappointing. But that's everyone I talk to. So where else? Yeah, so Jenny says if you sell higher priced items, optimization is a must, of course, and looking at competition. So Ryan says focus more on title or pictures for optimization. Definitely title. And if you're doing manual dropshipping and you're keeping your store small, one thing I will say, it's actually been really beneficial if you can try to keep your item out of the catalog and kind of make your item look a little more unique. I know that's probably not what eBay wants, but it's definitely been working for me thus far. But I feel like I'm going to have to keep the manual store very small for eBay to never catch on to those little things. I'm going to experiment a little more. Maybe I'll talk with Sully a little bit about his account, what I can do to tailor mine since he's got more experience with it. But I feel like things are going very well for that small account I have currently. And I'll just, for kicks and giggles, I will tell you right now, I've listed a couple items and I deleted one, but I don't know if you guys can see that. Maybe I don't think you can. But anyway, it's close to $3,500. I've been doing the manual account for almost 45 days now. I have 112 sold and 14 active. And again, it's because I'm listing items where I'm going in and I'm actually taking my time to go in and see what the price point is. If it's not selling, I lower it. I start all these off at 1.25. I'll just say that right now. And then I lower it from there, like 1.25 markup. Since I'm doing manual, I just do like a percentage or like a multiple instead of a profit percent. But yeah, 1.25, I believe, works out to around 10%. If you're tax exempt. And then, Mr. Rebates cashback, credit card cashback, all that on the back end. But I definitely have some products that I've sold at a loss or, break even and just making money on the back end too. Manual dropshipping is where you use no software. And there's a lot of speculation out there that it's a good way to stay off eBay's radar. But again, you have to keep your store small. You have to know what you're doing. It's a good way to start dropshipping, but if you want to scale to a bigger store, eventually you're going to have to use some software. And I know Ginny Spontan, I'm not an affiliate or I don't promote, too much software. So I probably not going to promote this one, but Spot and Paste sounds like a good software. It just doesn't work. Well, it works only on Chrome, which is fine for most people. If you watch my last live, I was picky about, I keep my 3 stores on separate browsers so I can just click on one and like look at all 3 at the same time without having to log in and log out. But yeah, Spot and Paste doesn't connect to the API, I noticed. So that's, a good one. And then there's also a software called SKUGrid, and that one doesn't connect to the API as well. So I'm not saying, again, guys, I'm not saying that it's the end of the world if you use software that connects to the API. I mean, DSM Tool, AutoDS, SaleFreaks, EasyNC, PriceYak, all of those connect to the API. And if you want to do drop shipping on a huge scale and have a big store, you're going to need software to do that. So again, yeah. All right. Yeah. So for those of you guys that don't know, we had our first official troll in here earlier for the last live, and they began calling me a scammer a few times in a row, and they referenced the Asus laptop. So I don't know, guys. I might have to get a new laptop. But anyway, appreciate all you guys. Oh, Tony Richard, I appreciate the beer money. I'm gonna have to get a Bud Light bottle when it's $3 bottles at the place over here. So yeah, that will be good. I'll be able to use that $2.99 for a Bud Light. Appreciate it. All right, guys. So Jiu-Jitsu TV wants to know what's considered a small store. I would say you can probably manage a manual store with a few hundred listings at least. And that's like, you got to, again, in order to make a decent amount of money with that many listings, you need to be very good at optimizing and selecting your items. So yeah. Thailand Heron says, don't drink and drop ship. That is funny. And yes, you can see a replay. This video will be replayed. All right, guys. Appreciate you joining my live. I know they're usually an hour or more, but yeah, I wanted to keep this one short and to the point. So those were my top five tips for this person, but this applies to everybody who's just getting into dropshipping and wants to know the fundamentals. So I hope everyone has a good weekend. I said in my last live, I wouldn't know if I would be on again this weekend or even before Christmas. And just so happened a few hours later, I couldn't help myself. So I might be on again this weekend. But yeah, guys, hope you all have a great weekend, and thanks for joining the live.